I hope everyone is doing well. What I am about to share is a pretty lengthy and tangled story. Please forgive any errors as I am writing this on my phone. I am at my wit's end and completely lost on how to handle this mess. A little background: I am a 33-year-old man, and my wife is 40. We've been married for 16 years and have two kids, a daughter who has 14 and a son who has 9. Our marriage started off really rough, but we pushed through those hard times and came out stronger. We got married young, and although we weren't fully mature, we knew we loved each other and believed we could overcome any obstacle in our marriage. Now, I'm not sure if that was just wishful thinking. For the past 3 years, my wife has been a manager at a major advertising company, and I have been working in engineering for 7 years. Both of our jobs pay well, giving our family a pretty good lifestyle. We were a close-knit family and made sure to always be there for our kids, creating great memories together. No matter how busy we got, we always made time for our children. Honestly, I consider myself a good dad and husband. Sure, I made some mistakes with my wife, but I would do anything for her. So, it was a huge shock when I discovered she was having a long-term affair. This brings me to how I found out. My wife had been acting distant. The last 2 years especially were the toughest. She seemed to dislike everything I did. She kept comparing me to her boss, now I know why, and would constantly tell me how he would handle things differently. Can to read her mind? Well, her boss can. Don't take her out on dates or make her feel special. Her boss does that for his wife. Why was I so immature? I would ask what she wanted me to do to spice up our love life, and her usual response was, "Don't ask, you should already know and do it." So I did research, bought books since I was clueless. Someone else had to have the answers. But everything I tried was met with either half-hearted appreciation or bitter disappointment. My wife was never like this in all the years I have known her, so I thought my inability to make her happy was something I needed to fix. Little did I know, it wasn't me who needed fixing all this time. We were very close to her boss and his wife. They had kids who got along well with ours. We invited them to our barbecues, family outings to the park, and game days at the arcade. They came to our house often, and we went to theirs. It is no surprise we became close. I would confide in her boss about our marital problems, and he gave me good advice. I thought he was a great guy. Back to the discovery: I had grown emotionally exhausted from my wife's constant demands to better myself or else our marriage would end. I was shocked by her attitude because I had always thought we had a great marriage. One night, she was busy laughing and giggling while texting someone. I was lying next to her in bed and got curious. As soon as I leaned over to take a peek, she yanked her phone away from me, angrily asking what I was doing. I said I wanted to see the joke, but she snapped that it was none of my business and stormed off to the bathroom. When I just knew deep down that something was going on. But I had no proof. The next day, I made the mistake of asking her directly. She was furious and denied everything. I didn't have access to her phone, but I was desperate for the truth. When I asked for her phone, she refused. Later that night, she reluctantly gave it to me. Almost every text message to certain people was deleted. I could tell because some conversations seemed inconsistent and others downright bizarre. I handed the phone back, and we didn't talk about it again until a month later, when I got a friend to check the phone and recover deleted texts. By then, my wife had gotten another phone and rarely used the one she gave me. Some texts were recovered, and through bits and pieces, I finally had proof of her affair with her boss. I knew if I confronted her immediately, she'd find a way to wiggle out of it, so I bided my time. I was a wreck, though. All I could think about was how this would affect our kids. The situation was awful, and I broke down in front of my friend. Despite everything, I didn't want to give up on the marriage. 3 days later, I bought a book on how to help your spouse heal from an affair. I know, it's okay if you were shaking your head. I started reading it, hoping that if I gave it to my wife, she'd stop this nonsense. I wanted my wife back and to save our marriage. I planned on talking to her on a Saturday to work things out, but she told me she had an emergency at work and not to wait up for her. Naturally, I called her workplace that day to confirm her story, but there was no answer. They weren't open on Saturdays. I tried calling her phone, but she didn't pick up. She came home at 2 a.m. on Sunday, immediately showered, and then came to bed. When I asked why she was late, she dodged the question by saying she had already told me not to wait for her. I was fed up with the situation. I decided not to give her the book I had bought, I was in agony, and she seemed indifferent. She saw my suffering and didn't care. Desperate for some stability, I reached out to her boss's wife to see if she knew anything. I don't regret that decision even to this day. She was as shocked as I was when she found out. She wanted to confront her husband immediately, but I advised against it, saying he would probably lie and cover it up better, just like my wife did. We met at her house to discuss everything and shared the little proof we had. She wanted more evidence, so we both agreed to gather information on our own and then compare notes. I started keeping a closer eye on my wife, and she did the same with her husband. It turned out to be quite easy for her to find undeniable proof. Her husband was so arrogant that he didn't even delete the text between him and my wife. Finally, the pieces came together, and we had a full picture of their 2-year affair. Both of us were furious. They had been together everywhere: our homes, expensive hotels, even on business trips. It was disgusting to read all the details. They even sent each other pictures, but we chose to ignore those because we didn't want to scar ourselves further. We both wanted revenge, but we didn't want to have affairs ourselves. Instead, we decided that if they wanted each other, they could have each other. We both filed for divorce around the same time. Our spouses had no idea we knew, and we continued to act normal. When everything was in place, they were at it again. With the help of her boss's wife, we knew exactly where and when to serve them. We found out they had booked a hotel for their weekend of fun. I personally went there with the sheriff. I waited in the lobby while the sheriff made arrangements, and my wife was called to come down from her room. She came down in a bathrobe, likely with nothing else on. She was panicked and frantically asked what I was doing there. Although it was a bit far from home, it wasn't too far. The sheriff asked for her name and information for confirmation. She confusedly complied, and then she was served with divorce papers. It was satisfying to see the shock on her face, but I didn't want to rub it in, so I walked away, knowing the job was done. She tried to stop me, grabbing my arm and demanding an explanation. I told her she had an affair, and I was leaving her. Simple as that. She started yelling and pulling my arm harder. The sheriff had to step in and tell her to let go of me. She released me and started crying, claiming she could explain, that I had the wrong idea, and it was all my fault. I was getting very angry, so I left quickly and headed home. My wife told her boss about it, and he panicked. From what I heard, he rushed home only to be served there. We didn't give them time to get their story straight. We blindsided them just like they did to us. My divorce will be finalized in a few months. Hers might take a bit longer. Both my wife and her boss are fighting us on the divorces. Neither wants to end their marriage. Their excuse is that they never intended to leave their spouses. It was just a sexual affair, nothing more. They say people have worse affairs and still come out with a great marriage. They messed up and want a chance to fix things. I asked my wife what she thought the outcome would be. She said she was just going with the flow and acted completely out of character. She insists she is not that person anymore. I told her she is an idiot. People around me call me evil for not giving her another chance. My kids know what is happening, at an age-appropriate level, and they support me 100, though they'd like it if we stayed together. My resolve is slipping, especially since we still live in the same house. My wife is going to therapy and reading the book I bought, which makes it harder to stick to my guns. She claims to be remorseful and willing to do whatever it takes. All I say to her is that she's only sorry because she got caught, and that's all I need to know. She has called me bitter and resentful, unable to look past the negativity. She apologized for saying that later, but I know it's how she feels. The boss's wife and I still talk, and my wife hates it. She thinks I'm going to have a revenge affair, or that her boss's wife is the reason I want to give us another chance. She asked me repeatedly to cut off contact with her boss's wife, just like she did with her boss. I told her she is crazy. We didn't do anything wrong, so why should I respect her opinions now? Honestly, I think I'm done. I have no respect for her. She's still trying to engage with me about her thoughts and feelings regarding the affair, but I see them as excuses, so I don't entertain her. She wants me to do therapy with her. I've read that therapists often blame the victim, so I was like, hell no. She wants me to read infidelity books with her. What's the point if we're going to divorce anyway? She wants to be intimate, but I told her she wasn't going to manipulate me with sex. She claims it's not manipulation and just wants to show me how much she loves me. I corrected her and said, "You mean love me now?" Everyone around me, even my mom, is frustrated with me. They argue that people make mistakes and that my wife now realizes she truly loves me because of her mistakes. I told them I refuse to be anyone else's fallback plan. It pains me to treat her this way. I still love her, despite the underlying hate. Am I being unnecessarily cruel? She's putting in a lot of effort, but I just don't care. Should I reconsider the divorce? People keep telling me I'm acting too hastily and will regret it. Is that true? I am lost about what is real and what is not. Edit. Thank you all for your responses. I've read your comments, and some of you touched on crucial points. I plan to discuss these with my wife soon. I'll keep you updated, but I believe divorce is the best option for me and the kids. Reading here has been helpful. Let's get a quick community reaction before moving on with an update. Someone says a mistake is spelling a word wrong or calling David Michael. Having a 2-year emotional and physical affair behind your back and in your home is a betrayal, plain and simple. She didn't make a mistake. She betrayed you, and that is what I would tell anyone who said she made a mistake. She didn't consider you for 2 years. Your relationship with her during that time was a lie because you were never given the chance to decide whether to stay or go based on her actions. Stick to your guns. This wasn't a one-time thing. She lied to you daily by hiding this affair. She lied to your face, even when you knew the truth. The time and effort she put toward her boss should have been directed at you. It sounds like she took you for granted all these years. The marriage you knew is over. Divorce her, and then decide if you can restart a relationship with her or not. Update. Okay, I am back again. I've been getting a lot of emails asking for an update, so here it is. Firstly, my wife and I are in a relatively good place right now, but not because we are reconciling. No, I am still divorcing her. My last update, which got taken down by the auto mod, explained our situation in detail. In short, my wife is still begging for another chance and doing whatever it takes to get it. I want to give it to her because a 2-year affair is too much for me to get over. If it had been a one-night stand, that might have been different. But 2 years? That is a slap in the face. I've attended a few therapy sessions with her because I'm not a monster, and I still love her. One session was very insightful and helped me see that my wife is truly remorseful. She hasn't handled the fallout of her affair perfectly, but she's trying hard. Another session was a disaster. She was upset with me for continuing to contact the boss's wife and feared a revenge affair. It was the angriest I've been throughout this mess, and we argued a lot afterward because I refused to cut off contact with the boss's wife. That issue was resolved when I promised there would be no revenge affair. I know I don't owe her anything, but she's still my wife until our divorce is final, and I want to honor my commitments. I've been going to more sessions to see her progress and participate if needed. After the divorce, I plan to step away gracefully. The boss's wife is still leaving her husband, who is fighting the divorce. She is as determined as I am, and we confide in each other on tough days. I don't see any affair happening between us, we're just friends. She's a strong, independent woman who doesn't take any BS from anyone. My kids are fine. They understand that our divorce doesn't mean we love them any less. They don't want a divorce but understand why it is necessary. My wife no longer works at the advertisement company. She resigned shortly after I served her with divorce papers and has had no contact with her former boss since. She has reached out for help online to save our marriage and followed the advice given. I've been reading a lot here, and at first I didn't understand why people stayed with adulterers. But seeing my wife work hard to become a better person, I can see the temptation. She's not a monster, she's just flawed and made terrible choices, which she is learning from. She has offered me everything under the sun for another chance. I'm not sure I have it in me to reconcile. The closer we get to finalizing the divorce, the more at peace I feel. Recently, we had a long discussion about her asking for a chance after the divorce. She offered a postnup. I wasn't completely opposed to it, but it would be a very long road for her to travel for me to consider it. She seems willing, but I don't see how that would benefit any of us. To be honest, a large part of me wants this divorce out of a fleeting sense of justice. It's the only justice I can get without lowering myself to her level. After sharing more details about my wife's affair, my mom and I reconciled, but now she is absolutely livid with my wife. I'm not sure how to handle that dynamic. Update rant revenge affair. I wasn't planning to write here until my divorce was finalized, but I am incredibly frustrated today and need to let it out. As many of you know, My wife is terrified that I'll have a revenge affair. This fear stems from my continued contact with the other betrayed spouse. My wife feels extremely insecure compared to her. The other betrayed spouse is younger, stunningly attractive, a model, and owns a thriving business. This has my wife paranoid that I might seek revenge by cheating. The nerve of her to lecture me about two wrongs don't make a right is unbelievable. While she is not wrong, her hypocrisy enrages me. Whenever I go to visit the other betrayed spouse, my wife either becomes extremely sad or desperately clingy. I can account how many times she's tried to seduce me just to ensure I don't cheat. I reject her advances, which only makes things worse. It's astounding how selfish cheaters can be, focusing solely on their own pain while the betrayed struggle to piece their lives back together. Another thing, our kids still see their kids. I never visit the other betrayed spouse without my children, yet my wife still suspects I might be heartless enough to take advantage of the situation. It is laughable. Meanwhile, the other man is living in their holiday home, begging his wife to take him back. I want to lie, seeing him suffer the consequences is satisfying. He hasn't threatened me because he knows I have the upper hand. He avoids me when he visits his kids, ensuring I am not around. Honestly, I pity him. My wife has been overly apologetic lately, showering me with affection that I simply brush off. I am not in a good place. We have a therapy session today, and I feel like unleashing all the pain and hurt I've endured because of her. My rage is becoming overwhelming. Let's hear a community comment from MacMan Fan. You need to unload in therapy. If you are nearing divorce, why does she still care if you are planning to date? She lost that right when she cheated. How selfish to expect your loyalty. She needs serious help for her issues. Update, checking in again. Not much new to report, but some things have developed. Reading through my posts and messages has made me realize what a supportive community this is. I have been educating myself about infidelity to better understand my situation. In a recent therapy session, my wife asked for more time to win me back. She presented numerous reasons why it would be beneficial for me to try to save our marriage, not necessarily reconcile yet. I kept pointing out that she's only making this effort now because of the fallout from her affair. She wouldn't be trying if she were still involved with the other man. She emotionally abused me for months, and I'm not someone who tolerates being walked over, even by the woman I loved. She acknowledged all her wrongdoings and apologized once more. She has made countless promises to make it up to me. She wants our marriage to be stronger than ever and believes it is possible. I asked if she was willing to endure my rage because I have plenty of it. She said yes, insisting that she wants me to vent to her whenever I need to process the pain. Usually, when I asked why she had the affair, she gave me countless excuses. This time, she admitted there was no excuse and said she would spend every day of her life proving she is truly remorseful and would never hurt me that way again. She opened up about her deep insecurities and jealousy of the other betrayed spouse. The affair made her feel beautiful and desired, boosting her ego. She admitted the affair was a fantasy that would never have lasted. She rarely considered the consequences, but occasionally thought about them. She regrets the affair deeply and says she'll live with this guilt forever. She may never forgive herself. She admitted she could never measure up to the other betrayed spouse and was convinced I would cheat back because the other betrayed spouse is not only beautiful, but also a woman with integrity. The other betrayed spouse has never been mean or threatened her. It was all my wife's insecurities and perhaps my anger over her betrayal talking. Here's where it gets interesting. The therapist asked what it would take for me to consider my wife's proposal. I couldn't think of anything, and honestly told her, a time machine, because what I have now is a sham of a marriage, and I never signed up for this. She said that all marriages face problems, ranging from infidelity to death, and it is how these problems are handled that shows the strength of the marriage. I was stunned by the direction of the conversation and told the therapist to focus on my wife, not us. She responded that my refusal to listen to logical reasoning might be a communication problem. I didn't disagree. During the drive home, my wife and I had a long talk. She asked if I felt emasculated by her affair, and I was genuinely surprised by the question. I answered yes. Then she shocked me by asking if I would feel better if I slept with another woman. I told her again that I wasn't interested in a revenge affair. She explained that she meant a trial separation, where I could go out and get my mojo back while she remained faithful, waiting until I was ready to come back to the marriage. I thought her proposal was crazy. I asked how it would benefit our marriage if both of us were seeing other people. She said it wouldn't be an affair since we'd be separated with agreed conditions. I told her that was a huge risk on her part, and she replied that since we are getting divorced anyway, this might help me see what the outside world has to offer. I rejected the idea outright because it seemed completely out of character for her to suggest that. My wife has been unusually calm and patient these past few weeks. She's like a different person from the insecure, desperate woman she was before. Of course, I know better than to trust her for my own sake, but it's difficult. Even though she doesn't want it, she's been very generous in the divorce. I've read countless stories of nasty divorces, but mine feels unreal in its civility. It's a difficult situation to navigate. Update back again. Hello, everyone. I have another update in this sorry state of my life. First, thank you to those who have continuously reached out to me in support. Currently, my wife and I have decided to be civil and spend the holidays together as a family. This will be the last holiday we spend together, though my wife hopes otherwise. I want to do this for our kids' sake. I love my kids dearly. Our divorce will be final in mid-February, for those curious. We've split everything evenly, although she has been very generous on her side. I still don't know if it's a tactic, and she might turn nasty later, but so far she's been nice, saying it's because I have been a great husband and father. She feels I deserve a fair divorce considering what she has done. That said, she will still come out of this with a lot, but I do get a bit more thanks to her. I've decided to stop going to therapy with her. It was giving her false hope and sending mixed signals. She confessed to having a burning desire to be intimate with me. Throughout the time I have been absent here, and understanding that I felt emasculated and undesirable because of her affair, she has frequently, and I mean frequently, tried to engage me in sex. Before all this, my wife hardly initiated sex, so I found it upsetting that she was doing it now. Over time, I grew to appreciate that she saw this as a hang-up of mine and wanted to address it. I've rejected her advances, but she still persists, adamantly stating that it's not about reconciliation, but about making me feel good and desired. I have cut off contact with the other betrayed spouse for now because things were getting too personal for my liking. To the person who pointed out that I was having a revenge affair, you weren't far off. I didn't realize it myself until the other betrayed spouse confessed that she wanted to explore a relationship with me. She said she would wait for my divorce to be finalized before we tried anything. I was confused and had no answer for her, so we decided to take a break from being around each other until everything is sorted out. She is an attractive woman, but I don't know if I can return her feelings. I'm unsure how to handle that situation. Someone insinuated that my presence was affecting her possible reconciliation with her husband. I assure you, I have nothing to do with her decision to leave him. She is done with him, and that's all her. We do not speak ill of our spouses when we read together. Recently, the other man met me in person to apologize for everything. He was always arrogant, and this experience has humbled him. I did not accept his apology. Call me petty, but I don't care about what that jerk is going through. I have a question. Is it okay for me to have sex with my wife, even if we are not reconciling? I have to admit, I miss the intimacy and closeness. My wife is eager and has been trying everything possible to initiate it. She's been trying everything: new lingerie, sexting, touching, and letters. Sometimes it's hard to resist. She even went as far as throwing away, burning, and replacing anything related to the other man in our house, without me even asking, because I frankly didn't care where they had sex. It's not easy to switch off these feelings. Is this a trap? Am I being played? Before anyone suggests kicking her out, I've already tried that. But I want her here because it's less of a hassle until the divorce is final. Ask for community opinions, and you'll get a response. Little law student says, if you're done, you're done. Having sex with her will only confuse you more and give her false hope of reconciling. She is hanging by a thread with you. Even though she claims it want to help anything, she knows she is losing you and is doing everything possible to keep you. So if you are sure you're done, draw the line and say no. Have your holiday together for your kids, and that's it. Don't make the divorce messier than it already is. Sex is more than just sex when it comes to separating couples. Update. It has finally dawned on me. Rant. I thought I wasted all these years on a woman who was worthless, but she gave me great kids and wonderful memories. These are things I will never forget and will cherish. But now I understand I can do better than her, and I will do better than her. I've had countless people give me advice on handling this situation. I finally understand that I deserve better than her. She screwed me over, put me down, and made me feel less than when another man showed her attention. She invested her energy in someone else. I cannot believe I am only now coming to terms with being over her. Now she does whatever it takes to keep me. Now she is investing in us. Now she wants me to be happy when she didn't care before. Now she wants to be adventurous in bed. The sex we had was never mind-blowing, but I liked it. Seeing how much I missed out on is eye-opening. Through her texts with the other man, I know just the tip of the iceberg about how graphic their trysts were. Now she wants to show me how much she loves me, when she was quite lazy before. Her previous lackluster effort speaks volumes to me. Now she respects my boundaries and goes above and beyond to honor them. Now she sees me as the king I wished she had seen before. But no, I had to knock her off her pedestal first. Now she is the ideal woman, but it feels fleeting. Now she is completely transparent with me about everything. She is brutally honest, even if it will upset me or embarrass her. I've never seen someone with a constant look of shame on their face before. She wishes the affair never happened. I see how much she kicks herself every day. I see the hopelessness on her face when I'm not receptive to anything she does. She looks miserable, especially when she tries to hide it. Sometimes it makes me hate myself, but it's necessary. Why can't I see this as a positive thing? Why can't I judge her for her current actions? They show remorse, right? Many people have long-term affairs and come out stronger, right? Why am I making decisions based on emotions instead of mature objectivity? Someone else might get the better version of her while I venture into uncertain relationships. Why not fight for this when everything points to a good future? Here's my answer: I will not accept disrespect. Maybe I was willing to in the early stages of discovery, but I quickly woke up from that. This is for those who have PM'd me and regularly ask about my situation. I'm going to enjoy this Christmas with my family and then move on from my wife. I've decided to stop listening to the nonsense in my head that keeps my wife's control over me and move on from the idea of her. I will not be dating her or giving us another chance. We are over for good. I like to say that my wife isn't a villain, and that is true. I want her to be happy, but it will never be with me. She has shown me that. Today I called the other betrayed spouse and offered her dinner after the holidays for her support when I hit rock bottom. She said she'd love to. I know these things don't happen often, but we've supported each other through all of this, and I owe her thanks. Before anyone suggests I planned this with the other betrayed spouse, I honestly didn't. My emotions have been so messed up these past few years that the thought of another woman never crossed my mind, and it is just dinner, nothing more, unless we both want it. But as the divorce nears, I realize I have options, and one option has been right there all along. What about the other man? I don't give a damn about him. I don't think I'll marry again, and I will tell that to any woman. Although my divorce hasn't been much of a hassle, I'm still losing a lot of money. The concept of marriage feels like a joke to me now. Apologies if I sound bitter. I don't mean to offend anyone, but I'm still feeling pretty jaded. I gave my prime years to this woman and am just now realizing how little I received in return. Happy holidays. You wanted to hear from me for a while. Update: officially divorced and the date with the other betrayed spouse. TMI warning. It's been a long time coming. I did mention that I would provide a final update here, so here it is. My ex and I are officially separated for good. This happened almost 3 weeks ago. For the first few days after it was finalized, I felt like I was mourning a death. The realization of my marriage's spectacular failure hit me hard. I cried harder than when I first discovered the affair. I was also filled with rage, definitely one of my lowest points. Everything has been organized for my ex, partly for the sake of our kids. She moved out, and I am working on buying her share of the house. She now lives in an apartment, which is a big downgrade for her and depresses her. She continues therapy and is heavily invested in reading about infidelity. I'm not sure why. We've had numerous talks leading up to and following the divorce, with minimal physical contact. I know I shouldn't entertain her, but she's the mother of my kids, and I want us to co-parent effectively. Thanks to this community and others, I have tried to stay logical about the situation. She wants to reconcile, but I think it is too risky to go down that road again. I am not willing to give her that gift. Last weekend, I went to dinner with the other betrayed spouse with no intentions beyond enjoying each other's company and talking. We discussed various topics and things got flirty. I was initially reluctant to let the mood change, but the night ended passionately. Sorry for the TMI, but it was probably the most mind-blowing sex I have ever had. The other betrayed spouse is incredibly attentive, far more than my ex ever was. I didn't have planned for it to go that far, but we were both willing. I learned a lot that night. It was the first time someone eagerly pleased me rather than the other way around. I guess I shouldn't call her the other betrayed spouse anymore since she divorced her ex, but for privacy, I'll keep using that term. I don't think we will take our relationship further, to be honest. I think the hormones and wine got the best of us that night. She would like to, but I am undecided. I need to sort myself out emotionally, and I think she does too. I feel good though. People might not like hearing this, but the sex with her significantly boosted my self-esteem. I felt desired and alive, finally understanding what I had been missing. I will never settle for unfulfilling sex again. What was most satisfying was knowing I didn't compromise my morals. I'm proud of how I handled all this. I wasn't perfect, but I did my best. I'm probably luckier than many in similar situations, even though I lost a substantial amount of money. I was willing to listen to advice and learn from others with experience, which saved me from further self-destruction. Takeaways: respect yourself. Never tolerate disrespect from anyone, not even those closest to you. Everyone deserves a healthy, fulfilling relationship. Don't settle for scraps from your partner. Every committed relationship should include a satisfying sex life. If your partner isn't willing to meet your needs, don't settle for unfulfilling sex unless you both agree on it. It's okay to walk away from that. Communication is crucial. If you are ever betrayed, only you can truly heal yourself. It took me a long time to understand this. There are many more takeaways, but that's all I can think of now. I'll be available to answer comments for a few more hours, but after that, I'm done posting here for good and moving on with my life. Have a good one, everyone. Update things are May right now. Hey everyone, I have received a ton of emails from people asking about my situation. I have been intentionally staying away from anything related to infidelity because I still get triggered occasionally. Despite that, I'm still dealing with the trauma. I don't like dwelling on it, so I've been avoiding sites like this one to move on. However, since so many people are concerned about me, I'll give you an update. I am okay. No accidents, no disappearing act. I am still in individual counseling, working through everything. The other betrayed spouse is now my girlfriend. She managed to settle her case with her ex regarding child custody and finances. She could have sought revenge and taken him to the cleaners, but she handled everything maturely. There's been some friction between the children because of all this, and we are trying to deal with it as best as we can. We started therapy for them to ensure they properly adjust and understand that the relationship between the other betrayed spouse and me has little bearing on them, although we consider their feelings important in how we handle the situation. This is extremely hard, because not everyone is on board, especially my daughter. My ex and the other man do not like being around each other. They both blame each other for how things turned out, and the tension is palpable when they are close. My ex still wants a second chance and is probably angry that the other betrayed spouse is in the way of me seeing things clearly and not throwing away everything indefinitely. This woman is so deluded that I genuinely worry about her antics. She tried something at a 4th of July party a friend of mine threw. I shut it down, but perhaps not firmly enough. I didn't believe the people who said she would be pining for me, but you guys were right. She desperately wants to come crawling back. The other betrayed spouse is letting me handle that, but she is getting sick of my ex too. Did I mention my ex hates the other betrayed spouse with a passion? I thought my ex was changing for the better, but since I left her for someone else, she's been a train wreck. That's what I still don't get. I treated her better than anyone else in my life, and she treated me like crap. But the moment I basically say F you, she is doing backflips trying to get my attention. I don't know whether to be angry or amused about it. Well, there you have it. Y'all can rest easy now. Final update. I know you guys were worried about me. Update. Hey all. Yes, I've seen your inboxes and chat requests. Sorry for not responding. I'm not active here anymore, but I'm aware that many of you have been checking in on me and my situation. I'll ease your worries with this update. Be warned, this isn't a happily ever after. Let us start with the big question. How are the other betrayed spouse and I doing? Actually, we are doing fantastic. If I had known a woman like her existed earlier, I would have searched for her years ago. Jokes aside, I have never had a stronger relationship with any woman besides her. Because my ex-wife put me through so much, I had little idea what a healthy relationship looked like. I still doubted myself, but the other betrayed spouse has helped me through this and is a phenomenal partner. I'm very much in love with this woman. She has shown me time and time again that I mean a great deal to her, and I feel the same way towards her. We are keeping it as a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship for now, as I am still doubtful about the idea of marriage. We are keeping things private and involving the children as little as possible in the relationship aspect. But yes, the kids know we are dating. It was a rough start, but they are getting along well now. We've been heavily involved in their lives, making sure they always have someone to talk to when they have problems. Lots of therapy has helped too. My daughter and son adore the other betrayed spouse. She has a natural way with kids. Her children like me much more than they did almost 2 years ago. Her youngest even started calling me her stepdad at functions and outings, which greatly surprised me. I was worried she felt forced to see me that way, but she said she likes me a lot, and it makes her mom happy, so she is happy to call me her stepdad. You have no idea how emotional that made me. My kids happily play with the other betrayed spouse's children. They formed a united front to relentlessly tease my son, the only boy and the youngest of the bunch. No idea if I should laugh or cringe at that one. As for my cheating ex-wife, we are on good terms. She has been working hard to repair her relationship with our daughter, and I was happy when my daughter told me she could find it in her heart to forgive her mother. They've made significant progress. Even with that, I don't think my ex has fully accepted that we are done as a couple. She still seems to hope for a second chance. She's been going to the gym and continues individual therapy. She appears much healthier now, but I don't really care. I have made peace with the past. It's her problem if she hasn't done the same. My ex talks more with the other betrayed spouse now, which is reciprocated, but the other betrayed spouse regards her with skepticism, and rightly so given all that happened. The other man is a lost cause. I didn't realize what a mess he would be. He has all the money but no brains. He has a girlfriend now, but his kids despise her and are very open about it. I don't like his girlfriend either. She comes off as extremely materialistic and callous towards the girls. To conclude, we are doing better than okay. Don't get me wrong, I had doubts that this was the right path, but with a lot of effort from everyone involved, it turned out well. No happily ever after, just a very happy now. A couple of quick comments from the community. Beb252 says, I followed your story. This is a nice update. I was all in for the other betrayed spouse from the beginning. Vivid Investment says, OP, thank you for the update. I followed your story and have been rooting for all of you. You, the other betrayed spouse, and the kids have been through a long and emotionally traumatic journey and deserve the good things that are now in your lives. I am glad this worked out so well for all of you. Wow, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, OP. It hasn't been an easy one, but you've managed to stay well-mannered and level-headed throughout. It's great that you've found happiness with the other betrayed spouse. It doesn't always work out this way, but the fact that you were able to find peace and happiness with each other is fantastic. Take it one step at a time, live for the present, and be grateful for what you have. It is wonderful that she was able to unlock something inside you and show you how valuable you are as a human being and a lover. You deserve to be cherished. The other betrayed spouse helped you see your worth again, and I hope you both learn a lot about yourselves while together. It's important to have people in our lives who want what is best for us and who bring out the best in us. It's also nice to hear that you and your ex are on good terms and that everything is okay with your children. Continue on this journey and keep practicing the morals and values that have guided you this far. Wishing you all the best as you carry forward. You deserve the very best. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let us know what you thought of today's content in the comments below. Until next time.